Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life Edge, because life just doesn't have to be mediocre. I am joined today by our co-host and good friend, Dr. Susan Nash. Susan, how are you today?
Great. Happy to be here and thrilled that we have such an eminent guest. This is going to be a special show.
We do. This is going to be exciting. Let's get going. And we are back, and that video that you just saw was from a beautiful place, a beautiful country called Slovenia. And today we've got the honor to... Susan, would you like to do the introduction?
We have a fabulous guest, Deputy Ambassador of Slovenia, Vladimir Kolmanic, and he's here. And I have to say that I was really excited to see many of the places I've personally seen in Slovenia and have been passionately supporting Slovenia since year 2000, and I had the opportunity to meet the Deputy Ambassador this summer, and I just am thrilled that he's here today.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're glad you could join us, and it's really fascinating reading the history of Slovenia, all the different cultures that really inhabit the country, as well as most people don't realize that it's only been a country since 2004, and some incredible strides since then.
Actually, so thank you for this invitation. It is an excellent opportunity for us to present Slovenia and make it a little bit more widely known in the United States. And Susan, as a great friend of Slovenia, knows it very well, and I'm really happy that she likes it there. But I have to correct you, Rick. I'm sorry for that. Slovenia has been an independent state since 1991, 25th of June, which means that next year we will celebrate our 25th anniversary of our modern statehood. And of course, the United States will have, I think, 240th anniversary, so it's quite some difference. But of course, we have our heritage going much back, much farther back. We just mentioned before that our capital city, called Ljubljana, just celebrated last year the 2000th anniversary of its existence from the Roman times. It was called Emona at the time. So we have many monuments preserved from that period, whole walls, cemeteries, and statues, and so on. There are many exhibitions on that. And also we have two other towns in Slovenia dating back to the Roman times. One is called Ptuj, which was, the original name was Petovio, and the other one is Celje, with the original Roman name Celea.
That's nice.
Oh, that's really exciting. And I think that one of the things that fascinates me about Slovenia is the fact that it's been such a crossroads over the centuries and millennia. And you might, what do you think have been the preeminent influences over the last 2,000 years?
Oh, you're right. It's a real crossroads in the center of Europe. So we are surrounded by four modern state entities, so to say. To the west, it's Italy. To the north, it's Austria. To the east, Hungary. And to the south, Croatia. And of course, there have been movement of the peoples through this region for centuries. And the Slavic people came in the 6th, 7th century mainly to occupy this area, and it has been settled by, since then, ever since, by also by Slovenians. So Slovenian language is a language of its own. It belongs to the group of the Slavic languages. It is similar to some others, especially Czech and Slovak, I would say, Croat also, Serbian, but it is a language of its own with some peculiarities, like the dual, we still keep it from Latin, and of course a very rich history and very rich literature, I would say. As a matter of fact, we had our first book printed in Slovenian in 1550. So the language has been influenced, of course, by the surrounding languages. There are influences by, of course, German, by a little bit Italian, some Hungarian in those areas, but we have many dialects as well. But basically, the official language is Slovenian, which is rather pure, I would say.
Interesting. So is Slovenian closer to the original Indo-European language?
Yeah, it belongs in the wide group of Indo-European, of course, but then in the narrower classification, it belongs to the group of Slavic languages, starting with, say, with Russian, Polish, Czech, Slovak, then Croat, Serbian, Macedonian, and so on. So Slovenian is one of them. The script is Cyrillic. The script is not Cyrillic. The script is Latin, as a difference from Serbian, Russian, or Bulgarian, or Macedonian. So we have the same script as the United States, and the predominant religion is Catholic. We do have some Protestants and some Orthodox, and even some Muslims.
And the population is around 2 million?
It's 2 million, yeah, it's 2 million, and the area itself is 20,000 square kilometers, a little bit over 20,200, which would be around 9,400 square miles. Mm-hmm. So it is the surface of New Jersey here in the United States. It is often compared with.
Now, it is, in essence, a valley surrounded on all sides by mountains, correct?
Yes, of course. We have the Alps. We share the Alps with Austria on the border and with Italy. So it's an alpine state, but partially, of course. We have a very interesting geography, starting with our short portion of our Adriatic coast, close to the Italian border, which is about 30 miles only, but it's so much more precious, of course, with some beautiful towns influenced by Venice, the Venetian architecture and so on. And then we have the Alpine area, which is, of course, similar as in the other Alpine countries. Our highest peak is the Triglav, which means the three-head one, with about 2,883 meters. So I cannot calculate this immediately into miles.
Yes, probably about 7,000 miles, maybe. I mean,
1.8, yeah, something like that, miles. So it's quite high. So and then we have the flat areas to the east and to the south. So we have at least three distinctly different geographical areas, each with its own characteristics.
So would you say
when I first came to visited Slovenia, it was in the year 2000 and then 2001, and I attended a literary festival called Villanica, and it was so fascinating. It was near where they have, near Lipica, where the Lipizzaner Stallions, but then in Villanica, it was in the karst area, and there were huge caves, and we actually had a little award ceremony in the cave. It was wonderful. It was so magical.
Yes, we have two world-famous caves. One is the Postojna cave. There is a kind of concert hall inside, and each Christmas they make performances inside. It's very big. And the other one is Škocjanske jame, also the caves, and they are protected by the UNESCO as a World Heritage.
Interesting.
There are millions of visitors coming to see them. Yes, it's a natural beauty, that's true.
What makes Slovenia different from some of the other Slavic countries, as well as some of its neighbors?
First, it's the language, the culture, and as I said, there are those different influences. Let's say if you compare our neighbor to the north, Austria doesn't have a seaside, for instance. They have the Alps and flatlands, they don't have a seaside. What do we do have? It is the same with Hungary, let's say, which is a flatland with big and great lakes, but they don't have a seaside. And then Croatia does have a lot of seaside, but not so, I mean coast, I'm sorry about coast, but no Alps. So we do have something quite specific. We are very important of our language, and very proud of our language, and it is very important to us, as well as of our literature, as I mentioned, which has helped us preserve ourselves through the centuries and this almost 2 millennia there. So we lay a great stress, and for such a small nation, it's really not easy. You know, it was not easy, always not easy to survive the onslaughts from all the sides, especially from the north during the history.
Well, I'm fascinated also, not just by the literature and the culture, but also the science. It's amazing how many renowned scientists and engineers and thinkers have come from Slovenia. Some of the for example, light aircraft and
well, thank you for that, remark. I was surprised myself, as a matter of fact. I didn't know that before. When I came here, I had a contact with Professor Dr. Edi Gobec. So he's a Slovenian who immigrated to the United States in the 50s. Even if he had a university degree, he started his as a laborer and made his way all up to the top, and he's a professor emeritus at the Kent State University of Ohio. And so he has written this wonderful book just now, which he sent to me. So it's about, so far it's in Slovenian, you can see it. And here, he actually made unbelievable contributions, what the Slovenians have invented and contributed to the United States. He started with 16 bishops, let's say, some from the 19th century. This is Baraga, let's say, who worked as a missionary with Native Americans and so on. And then with scientists, and it is really breathtaking what he has discovered, and all is very well documented. So he has written this huge book where there is everything inside, called Slovenian American Inventors and Innovators, Their Traces on the Earth and in the Space, because they have been present in all these areas. Most of the Americans don't have any idea, let's say, that among other things, the inventor of the first pocket calculator was a Slovenian. The father of the Boeing 747 was a Slovenian. That the lunar vehicle was constructed by a Slovenian, and also those wheels for it. So it would take probably too long to mention all that, and that we have real astronauts, physical scientists, and astronaut himself working for NASA. Dr. Ronald Šega. So he was the one. He's a typical Slovenian name. I would say Šega. I know it's spelled differently here, Sega, but the name is Šega. And so he's the one, and several other scientists working for NASA, and so on. So it is unbelievable. Constructors, business people, industrialists. That it is. I can say that unfortunately this is not so well known in Slovenia. than what all they have contributed to the American society. And here, the author, Dr. Gobec, he states some statistics that Slovenians having only 0.1%, let's say, of the less than that, of the population of the United States have contributed in percentage-wise much more than that. And even in the political field, 3% of the senators are of Slovenian origin, or have been of Slovenian origin, which is a very high percentage. So yes, these are, you're showing kindly some of the photos. So this is some futuristic car. So we are proud, and this is a real now I would say a discovery for us. This book will be published also in the English language, so it will be available soon, and then it will be distributed. As a matter of fact, one copy already exists in the Library of Congress.
This is so super cool. I'm so excited about that, and it's such an impressive contribution to the United States and then to the world in general. I know that in addition, I'm very impressed with what's going on in data mining in the University of Ljubljana. There's an open source software package called Orange that's really, very good, and that's some of the things. Those are some of the innovations that allow the foundation of some of these amazing inventions.
Yes, of course. If you put this into perspective, then it's especially fascinating. As you, as a scientist, it's very important that you discover this yourself. But yeah, we have very good institute founded many years ago. It's a research institute, Josef Stefan, and of course they also come quite often to visit the United States and exchange their experience here. And we have universities which are also centers of research. Then we have a center of excellence where all the data are gathered and then processed and applied in practice. So we really, putting into perspective that we are such a small country, we really have to invest a lot into our knowledge, education, and culture. This is our, of course, this is our ticket to survival. You know, we don't have any big natural resources. We do have some, as you know, we do have some geothermal energy, some gas, but they are very little comparatively with our. We do have then, of course, nuclear power plant. Okay, we use, which is it's a Westinghouse. We share it with Croatia since the 70s, but we don't have any big natural resources except for the wood, but and forests. But these we preserve also for our kids and because of the nature. So we have to invest in our knowledge, education, and so on. And as you know, probably the education in Slovenia is quite good and free of charge. Even, also universities. As a matter of fact, and there was an article published in the Washington Post earlier this year listing universities in Europe where the Americans can study free of charge, more or less, and they have programs in America, in English, and so Slovenia also has such university that this can be. I think there are only 7 in Europe, but one of them is in Ljubljana, so it's interesting, yes.
Now, in the beginning, before we started the show, I asked you if Vladimir was a Russian name, and I wondered if you had some Russian origin, but you told us a little bit of how you were named and why the name Vladimir is so popular.
Yeah, it was quite popular after the World War. But, you know, of course, there was other reasons. The area or the region where I come from, this is northeast. So it is just as on the Austrian border, and farther to the east, it's Hungary, just 30 kilometers there. So, and this was the area which was actually liberated by the Soviet army. So they dispelled the Germans and the Hungarian occupators from there. And this has probably contributed to the fact that several Russian names are given. Also, let's say, like Dmitry, which also has a Greek origin, but it's considered to be Vasily, and several such names. Natasha was quite a popular female name, and so on. So this could be, after the Second World War, this could be one of the reasons, let's say, why they gave some names of Russian origin, but otherwise it is origin is Russian, but it is generally spread quite widely in the Slavic-speaking world.
Okay. Now, I was reading that historically in World War II, the resistance in Slovenia was one of the strongest, and they managed to repel the Germans when they tried to get in. And interestingly enough, the Russians didn't try to take it over either. That was the time, was that the time you had Tito?
Yes, that's true. The so-called partisans, so they were guerrilla fighters, quite well organized and quite successful, we can say. But what is important, what was maybe even decisive, was the fact that we had American and British missions, so which means officers who who cooperated with the partisans, so, and they were kind of supervisors what the partisans were doing, you know. So, and we had a government in London, Yugoslavia. The king had escaped to London, and there was a kind of government there. So there was this Western connection. So, which means that Russians were not so influential. And there's a well-known fact that Slovenia had rescued quite some Allied airmen, among them American pilots and airmen, during the Second World War. Before coming to the United States this time around, I was the head of the Department for the Americas, and we made several, there were several commemorations marking those events from the Second World War. So there was, let's say, unveiling of monuments and plaques and so on. I witnessed one of those or several, so dedicated to the fallen American airmen or rescued ones. And interestingly, Susan knows that we have a book with a topic just being translated, written by my mother, I think it's somewhere here, which deals with true story. This is this one, Goodbye Silverbird, if you can see it. So it's about 220 pages, but it's a true story dealing with those issues from the Second World War, 2022 pages. So dealing with those issues, rescuing local population, very close to the Austrian border. There was just a river in between. This is the place where my mother comes from. So the locals rescued not all the crew, but some, at least the pilot of an downed American aircraft, which was flying to Austria, Wiener Neustadt, so to bomb the industrial facilities there, which were producing arms for the Nazis. So there are many such stories, quite some such stories. As I said, the American ambassador was aware, in Slovenia was aware of that, and we went together to commemorate those such events.
Now, did you say that book is 2,000 pages?
No, sorry, 222.
Oh, 200. I was going to say, your mother has an incredible memory.
It's so fascinating, though. And the fact that it's a true story is very impressive. And I just think about those times. That must have been so challenging for the people who took the chance to rescue the pilots. I mean, that was quite brave. Oh,
definitely. If they had been caught, they would have been killed, you know. So definitely it was quite dangerous. They were risking their lives, yes.
Well, I'm just really excited about that, and I think that the more sort of history that we have and the personal stories that we read, especially of personal valor, where people are thinking of a bigger cause and they're reaching out to help other people, I think those are inspiring to all cultures, and I think that it's just wonderful that it's being translated into English.
Yes, of course. It would be, I think, a new field. I don't know. I'm not aware of any such book with such a topic, let's say, so far. So it would be probably an interesting contribution. As you know, we donated just this September on the occasion of the 85th birthday of my mother's, we donated another 8 books of hers. She already had 10 in there before, so she has a total of 8 in the Library of Congress now, but it's still not the full scope of her work, because we simply don't have any more copies left. Most of them she has 1 copy, but we have no spare copies left, so we are looking for the others. So this is what we also do, as Susan knows very well, because she was very kind and helped organize this event with a Slovenian writer, Ewald Fliser, this June. We had a presentation at the Library of Congress of his reading, actually, and then he donated, I think, 20 of his works. So he has now a total of 32 in the Library of Congress. So I'm very happy about that. He's one of the most translated Slovenian authors, and also one of most decorated, so to say. His 70th birthday this year in April, I think, was celebrated very much in Slovenia. There were many events dedicated to him, and moreover, he was very much also cherished in London. He was one of the 6th most read European writers, and he had his presentation at the National Library. And big interviews with BBC and the Irish Times and so on. So he was here, and in June of this year, and Susan made an interview with him. But he also had a big event in Chicago, and there was a magazine, official publication of Slovenian Union of America, dedicated to him. Let's see him on the front page, and also the contents inside is about him. He has a really huge scope of books. He's widely traveled, visited about 90 countries, or maybe 100 now, and as I said, widely translated into many languages. And his plays are being performed all over the world. And the one took place here at the Atlas Theater in Washington, D.C. in June, directed by Robert McNamara, the director. So it was really very good experience with Ewald, and I think he's planning to come again, and also organizing some events in Slovenia, inviting American authors there.
Oh, that's great. I like his work a lot. He's a very prolific playwright. He's also written novels and short stories, but his plays, they're funny, and they have lots of gallows humor, and they're disconcerting. They really toy with people's expectations and gender relations, and they make you think. And I think that's one of the things that I think characterizes Slovenian writing in general, is it just really makes you think.
Yes, definitely. He's really dealing with so many different topics and with very different cultures. He spent a lot of time living in London, then in Australia, then he's spent a lot of time in India. He wrote his travel journals, and there was a complete series of TV shows of him in India. So he was a kind of guide there, and so really he has an unbelievable wide perspective of the events and a very, very rich language. If I may, I would like to mention another writer, if you agree.
Yes.
Wow, yeah.
There was a very special personality called Boris Pahor. So in 2013, he celebrated his 100th birthday. That's the picture. I met with him in Ljubljana. That's him. So he has survived the concentration camp in Germany and so on. And now he's 102 years old and still active. So when I was the head of the Department for the Americas, I proposed that we would mark his 100th birthday by introducing his works in the countries of North and Latin America, and it was done. Unfortunately, he was not able to travel himself overseas anymore, but what happened also was that via Skype, he also had a presentation of his work and life at the Library of Congress. It was last year. He was 101 years old, still fluently speaking, from his home in Slovenia to the Congress, the Library of Congress. This is one of his most translated works. It's called The Necropolis. It's dealing with this difficult life experience that he had in the concentration camp. He has been awarded also, very widely translated. There are about, I think, 37 books in the Library of Congress of his. He has been awarded the highest recognitions by France, Italy, Austria, and so on. So he's really something very special, still being active at 102 years old.
That's so cool. It's inspiring.
Sorry?
It's very inspiring. And I think that the fact that Slovenia stays active in terms of things, or current events and new trends, and some of the philosophers that have come from Slovenia are always active, and that's the thing to me that sort of characterizes Slovenia. When you mentioned that it's necessary to really work with education and human capital and encourage creativity, that really made a lot of sense. What do you see as some of the future for Slovenia?
Yes, definitely. But, having completed, let's say, this phase, or having achieved our statehood and our big dream, there was a great role played by our artists, especially writers. They contributed to our first constitution and the basic documents. So it was really very important to have them on board at that time. But now we are an established country. We have been, what Rick maybe, probably meant, that we have been a member of the EU and NATO since 2004. Yeah. So we have achieved all our great goals, so to say. We have this partnership of NATO that protect us, big partnership with the United States within them. We are a EU member. We are a member of the Eurozone and the Schengen area. So great things have been achieved. And then we have to continue with other priorities, I would say, like the economy. As you know, we have also been hit by the crisis, not so heavily as other countries, but still. So we had to look for resources, and this, what Susan mentioned before, the research has helped us a lot. We have really many inventive people nowadays, not only those which are mentioned in the book of Professor Gobetz, but also nowadays we have some very successful and inventive company. One of them has been presented a short time ago in one of the American magazines for specialized in airplanes, and the company is called Pipistrel. It's specialized in building ultralight aircraft. So, and it has several awards also from NASA and so on. And it was had a test of its aircraft was published in the EUPA pilot, very good one. Yes, this is it. So he has been very successful. Also, just concluded a great deal with India, selling almost 200 aircraft. So, and this aircraft is powered by electricity, by solar power, and he's trying also now to enter the U.S. market. She's working on that, and we hope it will happen, because it would really be a great contribution to the technology and to environment, and of course to success of our business. We have several startups working here in the United States. We have a joint venture here in Virginia, Octa Spring Dormeo, producing very original patented mattresses. And we have a worldwide, globally successful company called Outfit 7, with several billions downloaded applications of the creature called, yes, Talking Tom, who is a cat. So you touch him
I
and
love
he
that.
speaks, he answers questions, whatever. And now he was joined by friends. So it is extremely successful. And they have one branch in Alto Palo in California as well. The cities in London, and so on. So, and then we have another successful company in the United States right now, which is Interblock, and they are producing gaming machines, and they are doing very well. I can say that, of course, after we have established very solid and good political relations with the United States, of course, the next step is then to upgrade the economy, trade, business, investments. And this is what we have been working on most recently. We have some solid relations in that field. Our trade exchange achieved last year about $1 billion volume dollars. But of course, then I found out we are not aware, of the real possibilities of the United States. It's unbelievable. So I found out by chance by speaking, after speaking with one ambassador of the EU country, he told me that they are doing unbelievable business here. The sky is the limit. Billions and billions of change. And then EU countries, it's unbelievable numbers, incredible. So, and it has grown this first half of this year, it has grown by another 23% between the EU countries and the United States. So I gave an initiative from here after having found out that fact. I gave an initiative to Slovenia to really starting prioritizing the United States. And now it is put on the list of the top priority countries in trade, and now we have organized several events already, and now we are organizing a very high-level delegation headed by our top-level politician plus top-level business people coming from Slovenia this December to visit top-level American companies and try to conclude some business. So this is what we are really working on just now as our priority, as the embassy and as the country.
That's wonderful.
Wow, that's great.
Vladimir, we are almost at the end of our time, and
Thank you, but I would like to add something more, but you have shown already. The next very important issue, of course, is tourism, and we are happy to say, so we are doing a lot of promotion at the embassy. We have events, regular events, we host all kinds of groups. This week we just had 3 groups in the evenings, making presentations like this that you are showing now, and distributing many leaflets and all kinds of brochures. So, and we are happy to say that the visitors from the United States are very welcome in Slovenia, and the number has been constantly increasing. So the numbers may be not breathtaking right now, but it's 65,000. But what most important is that the numbers are going up, and we usually get some feedback from those who do go there, and they are really, really very happy. And very satisfied seeing so many things. Slovenia is a very, very hospitable country, very safe country, and green, and with some really fascinating destinations and attractions.
That's wonderful. Well, Vladimir, we are very glad you could come and share a little bit of your country and culture with us. And I know Susan is quite a fan. She's been talking about Slovenia for a very long time, and I have roots in Slovenia too that I've never really investigated. So I think we all share.
You mentioned this. It's a small world. It's a small. But maybe one more sentence, if I may add, because we wouldn't like to concentrate too much on the past and history. So we have, of course, some. Living Slovenians, which are also quite famous in the United States, but maybe it is not so well known that they are of Slovenian origin. The most, which is now in the foreground in the recent days, or will be even more so, is Melania Trump. She is Slovenian. Her maiden name was Knaus, but she came here as a successful fashion model from Slovenia and Italy, and in the mid-90s, and so now she's we see very popular here. Special shows for her on CNN, and now ABC will have, and the People magazine devoted most of the magazine to her. Then we have our world famous author, philosopher, professor, Slavoj Žižek, who just a month ago also was in Washington, D.C. And then we have some sports people like Andrzej Kopitar, who plays for the Los Angeles Kings, and Dragic, who plays in the National Basketball League. So they are here. Maybe it is not so widely known that they are Slovenians, but they are here, and sometimes it is mentioned, mostly it is not. Though Melania Trump really stresses it, her origin from Slovenia, and even that her son speaks Slovenian. So it is quite liking, I would say, and promotional from our point of view for Slovenia.
That's great.
It is. And I really say, I have to say, I've really enjoyed Slovenia, and haven't had the chance to visit many different parts, and we've been 5 times now, and I just love it, every aspect of it, and I can't wait to go back. I want to encourage everyone to visit.
Now, of course, you're most welcome. Also, Rick, if you need any support from us, this is a part of our job, but it will be a special pleasure to supply you with any kind of information or support, whatever you need.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And if for people who want to travel to Slovenia, what's needed? Visa, passport?
No, passport, yes, but I'm sure that you need a passport, but we have a so-called visa waiver program. So as a tourist, you can travel without a visa up to 3 months. So you don't need a visa, you don't need to come to the embassy or whatever to obtain it. You just go to the airport, and you're allowed to travel and to enter.
Oh, great.
Yes. So if you need any more information, we are at your disposal at the embassy.
That sounds wonderful. And in fact, I saw a video recently on YouTube by Rick Steves, who does a lot of tourism, and he had a very nice show on Slovenia. It was really quite lovely.
Yes, and there was a show also on Travel Channel recently, and I think last year it was a big discovery in the Lonely Planet. Mm-hmm. And several other shows, but it was not so widely known. But recently, let's say it is getting more and more. Some say it was an undiscovered jewel or something like that. So I have not met a person, let's say, who would not be satisfied after having visited Slovenia. I just can add that we, as I mentioned, we organize many events promoting the embassy. So also like very well-educated people. Last year, a year ago, we had let's say presentation for the Harvard Club of DC. I had a presentation of Slovenia, and they were so curious, they lined up and asked many questions, but many of them had already been there. And they told me what they had experienced, and we know for sure that some went after that. Then we had MIT Club of Washington, D.C., so the same, very well-informed people, of course. Yesterday we had another university from Illinois doing the same thing with that, and so those are well-educated and very well-informed people, and once they go, they know exactly where they are going, what they want to see, and when they come back, they usually inform us, and they are very thankful and grateful for that.
That's wonderful. And you have been a wonderful person to have on the show and to share your passion and love for Slovenia. So we're very glad you could come on. Susan,
yes, it's more than my duty and my job, of course. I try to do something more.
Well, I just want to thank you. This has been a fantastic show. I'm extremely appreciative and excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your understanding, your support, Susan, for your friendship also, and of course, hope to see you here in DC. Also you, Rick, and as I already mentioned before, you're most welcome. We would support you in any possible way if you would like to go to Slovenia, or if you need anything else from us.
Thank you very much. If you are watching the show, please subscribe, let us know what you think, and if you want to get a hold of the Deputy Ambassador, you can do it through YouTube, or just contact him on the Slovenian website. So thank you again very much for coming on, and we will see you next week. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. Good night. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.